Science fiction is the subsection of literature that comprises of concepts related to the fantastical, hypothetical, or futuristic applications and expansions of science and technology. Common thematic elements of science fiction include the practical application of hypothetical theories, such as tachyonic travel or artificial intelligence, the integration of technology and humanity's relations with extraterrestrial life. Sci-fi typically remains within the world of the relatively feasible, abjuring the preternatural and the supernatural, in favor of concepts more grounded in reality. The concept of exploring possible applications of future technology and science through literature has existed well before the genre became conclusively defined, and can be traced back to as early as the 2nd century AD, with true history, an ironically fictional account of interplanetary warfare and alien life, written by the Assyrian writer Lucian of Samosata. More conventionally, however, Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, penned in 1818, is acknowledged as the first true work of the genre, defining and combining the philosophy, application of the scientific method, and the intrigue that would become staples of the genre. Within the confines of the technological enlightenment of the 19th century, science fiction flourished, largely due to the various works of authors such as Jules Verne and H.G. Wells, conceiving of masterpieces such as The Time Machine in 1895 and Journey to the Center of the Earth in 1864. Modern science fiction has recently expanded into a multitude of subgenres, experimenting with concepts taken from every pursuit of science. From Philip K. Dick's ventures into life within a society run by technologically omnipotent, monopolistic corporations, to Asimov's philosophical musings on the nature of consciousness, humanity, and the meaning of the word automaton, to Arthur C. Clarke's exploration of space, AI, and rebirth. Modern science fiction is the medium for many of the most profound and most entertaining concepts within fiction today. The genre of science fiction allows for the integration and amalgamation of varied themes, concepts, and backdrops, and this gives it the capacity to engage with much of humanity. Science fiction, writes Rob Sterling, is the impossible made possible, and it is the presentation and analysis of this transubstantiation that gives the genre ubiquity. Science fiction writes frequently of alteration and variation, such as in the counter-authoritarian ideology of literature, such as Ray Bradbury's Fahrenheit 451 and George Orwell's 1984, presenting a philosophical interpretation of authority that captivates many. Indeed, the idea of change itself relates to a majority of humanity, an overturning or rearrangement of social conceptualizations. In the words of David Brin, change is the principal feature of our age, and literature should explore how people deal with it. Science fiction is the possibility and ambiguity of the future, made concrete as a form of media, and to be a human is to imagine that which is to come. Science fiction has always existed in a kind of limbo state between commercial literature and deeper, more thematically philosophical musings. Recently, however, as science fiction has begun engaging with a more contemporary audience in a more conventional way, it has trended more towards approachable styles of writing and concepts. However, the primary purpose of sci-fi, at least generally, has always been to investigate the hypothetical and improbable in a compelling way. Throughout the history of the genre, writers such as Verne and Asimov have, at times, been analogous to scientific visionaries, applying the scientific method to their writings in order to hypothesize the yet unknown. Science fiction, as much, or perhaps more, as any other category of literature, has the capacity to act as a medium for philosophy, and with the exemplifying works of the genre, we see a dichotomy, that of the division between the ascendancy of technology and the high ethics of philosophy. This disjunct between two opposing forces is a potent medium for the transmission of conceptualizations, and many of the greatest writers of the genre use this to great effect. Within his 1968 novel, The Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, Philip K. Dick institutes a division between the artificial and the human, utilizing a staple of science fiction, and then, in the latter half of the book, subverts these opposing sides, creating a reality where they are almost one and the same. Science fiction draws upon all branches of science and technology, and is limited only, really, by the imaginative faculties of the writer, and thus exists in many different literary capacities. Fantasy and science fiction are commonly intertwined. However, the genre also finds common ground with philosophical texts, crime thrillers, and in some cases, even comedy, such as Douglas Adams' 1979 masterpiece, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Although writing styles and thematic content differ according to the specific subgenre that the author is writing in, most science fiction has the distinction of being concerned with implausibility rather than impossibility. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a comedic science fiction novel series that explores humanity in the context of an uncaring, deranged universe. The books were written over the course of 13 years, with the first in the series, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, published in 1979, and the last, canonically, Mostly Harmless, in 1992. Douglas Adams draws comedy from the interactions between the despondency of its characters and their situations, as well as the irrelevance and absurdity of the universe in which they find themselves. Arthur Dent is, in many ways, the exemplification of a typical human. Average, bewildered at change and development, and completely unequipped to handle anything beyond his sphere of knowledge. In a pointless act of bureaucracy, the Vogons take away all familiarity within his life, and Adams illustrates two central theses of his works through this: the utter inadequacy of the Earth and all that is familiar when compared to the boundlessness of the universe, and the understanding that in the face of this infinity of space and time, the only response is laughter at its utter absurdity.